How do you measure success? In points? In wins? Or trophies? At Shelter Insurance, we measure success in the quality of our products and services, in our community support, in being there when you need us most. We're your shield. We're your shelter.
For auto, home, life, or business insurance, come see me, Agent Janine Blankenship in Effingham.
So today we're here with
Mark Kreke.
Mark. Who are your parents?
Bernard and Anna Kreke from Teutopolis.
Did you have any brothers and sisters? And please name them.
I had 3 brothers and a sister, Jerry, Bill, Jeff, and my sister is Mary Jo.
Did sports play a big role in your family?
No.
Where did you attend high school and what year did you graduate?
I attended Teutopolis High School and I graduated in 1976.
What sports did you play in high school?
I played baseball, basketball, and track.
Talk about your high school sports career from your freshman to senior year.
Okay, freshman year I played, we had fall baseball when I was a freshman. We did not have spring baseball. So we started with, and I played freshman baseball. We weren't a very good team, but I pitched for the team and played center field when I did. Basketball, started the JV and played varsity as a freshman, and then I lettered in track in the spring. As a sophomore, played baseball, obviously fall, and just played on the sophomore team. Then started on the varsity in basketball, averaged 19 points a game, about 10 rebounds. I think we were 18-11 my sophomore year, and then obviously ran track in the spring. Then junior year we were ranked baseball, basketball, baseball, and track in the spring. And same way my senior year. My junior year in high school, we were ranked number 1 or number 2 in basketball all year long. And my senior year, we didn't get ranked till late in the season.
Talk about some of your teammates and your coaches.
My freshman coach was Ron Couchner. He was there forever. Done a great job of coaching fundamentals for the varsity coach, Lawrence Carey. Lawrence Carey was there 25 years. Great guy. Understand you're going to be talking to him in a few days. I can't wait to see the interview. But
It's going to be fun to hear his story.
He will talk your leg off. He is one great guy, was a good coach. Loved him. So.
Who were your teammates?
As a freshman, I didn't play much on the basketball team. I played little. My hero was Terry Probst. He was a senior that year. They had 9 seniors. That's why there's very few guys played on the JV. And but he was my hero. Him and Joe Shoemaker. Joe Shoemaker was graduated the year before I started, but a great guy that ended up playing college basketball.
Talk about some of the teams and players that you played against in high school.
Probably played against Brian Rothrock,
Who I just talked with.
who you just talked with a little bit ago. The Haney brothers, Pat and Mike Haney, Mike Cabas from St. Anthony, Brad Maxiden from Effingham. His dad was the head coach. Probably the best player, probably 2 of the best players that I played against was Rick Leasty from Lawrenceville.
Yep.
And the guy they called the Blonde Bomber from Lawrenceville, Jay Scheidler, that went to Kentucky.
What was it like playing against Jay Scheidler?
He was head and shoulders better than anybody else. If they would have had a 3-point line, I think he got 30. I'd have to look, but I think it was like 37 points against us. And if he'd have had the 3-point line, he probably would have had 50 because he didn't shoot inside the top of the key.
Really?
He guarded me for 4 minutes in the first quarter, got 3 fouls and quit guarding me, and he didn't get another foul the rest of the game.
Oh, man. So talk about some of your favorite facilities in high school.
Besides T-Town. T-Town was the best facility, period. Effingham had a great gym. St. Anthony had a great gym. And probably Mount Zion had a really nice setup too.
Is there any stories you'd like to add during your high school career?
Oh, there's a few. How long do you want me to talk? Actually, to start with, probably one of the best memories was when I was a sophomore. We weren't very good. I told you the year before, they had 9 seniors, 4 starters. The one starter that started halfway through the season was Bart Funneman, who ended up going to Milliken. I don't know if you've talked to him, but
I have not.
Somebody you need to talk to. Bart started halfway through his sophomore year. The next year, we started 3 juniors and myself and 1 senior. It was 2 guys at split time, John Burford and Randy Niemerg. I don't know if you know those guys.
I know John, yep. He owns Burford Electric in T-Town.
Well, Randy Niemerg runs Niemerg's restaurant. So anyway, they split time as the other starter. So none of these guys, other than Bart, played any varsity at all the year before. Effingham St. Anthony was ranked number 1 in the state.
Wow.
We played them in the regional and beat them 48-47. I sank 2 free throws to put us up 3 with 4 seconds to go to win the game. So that was a pretty memorable.
Talk about you were telling me about the rebounding leaders at T-Town. You talk about that.
I think I'm number 1. There was I think Bob Sarusen's number 2, and there's a guy that could possibly be ahead of both of us if they kept the records right, and that would be Gene Shoemaker.
Went to Alabama.
Yeah, he went to Alabama, was MVP of the Madison Square Garden tournament, and averaged 20 rebounds a game as a senior. That's just astronomical. Most people don't get 20 rebounds in a game one time, and he did it for an entire season. So he was about as good as they got.
How about some awards you received? In high school, of course.
High school, I was, I guess I was MVP, I think 2 of the last 3 years. I think I was junior and senior, I was MVP. Wow. I don't know if I was my sophomore year. Actually, it's been a little long time ago. But I lettered 4 years in track, 2 years in baseball, and 4 years in basketball. So I had 10 letters in high school, which is pretty good when you look back on that.
So we'll go on to after high school now. Where did you go to college?
I went to college at Milliken University in Decatur.
Who recruited you?
Joe Ramsey. Joe Ramsey was, he was a young guy. He had coached, he got fired at Oklahoma University and came to Milliken. And he was like 35 years old. So I was Bart Funneman was his first class of recruits. I was his second. And he was as strict a fundamental coach as you've ever seen in your life. I mean,
really?
Yeah, everything was, we spent the first 2 weeks of practice learning to pass the basketball the right way, learning to throw a chest pass, learning to throw a bounce pass. I mean, he was a fanatic about when you pass the ball, you hit the guy in the chest, so he knew he could shoot the ball, he could dribble the ball, he could do whatever. I mean, but we were never a big team. As a matter of fact, my high school team was bigger than my college team. Of course, you know T-Town's about known for its height.
Oh yeah, unfortunately, yeah. Sometimes.
As a matter of fact, a little tidbit. As a sophomore, I started on the varsity.
Mm-hmm.
I was 6'3", 6'4". Lawrence Carey started coaching in 1958.
Wow.
That was the first year that he didn't have a starting center 6'6" or above. I mean,
That's impressive. Wow.
yeah. And then the next year, Mike Werman started. He was 6'7", and he was my age, so he started until I got out. And then Slim Funneman, I don't remember what his first name was. He was 6'10", and Terry Brown played. He was 6'10". So I mean, it just continued for ever.
What do you think about all this height in T-Town, Mark?
Well, you know what it comes from. They feed us beer when we were kids. Actually, it's a tall German community. I had a little story. We played in a AU tournament after I got out of college and down in T-Town. And there's an establishment down there, a local establishment called Kenner's that people went to all the time. Well, after the game, we went there, and I met Leon Gobzinski and some of the other guys, and I brought the basketball players along. I had 2 players on the team. One of them was Roy Mosser. Roy was probably one of the best shooters I ever played with in my life. Hall of Famer at Milliken, 5'8". Honestly, slow as molasses in wintertime. When we run sprints, he was one of the last guys to get back. He could not, he was slow. But he was 5'8". And Dave Knoll was another guy on the team. He was 5'9". Well, they were standing in the corner of Kenner's. The girls were walking in, and they hollered at me and asked me to come back. And they go, so I come over and talk to them, and they asked me a stupid question. Roy looked at me and he says, "Is there any girls here shorter than us? We are tired of watching the girls walk in that are all taller than us." And I just laughed at him. I said, "Well, you know, it's a German community." I said, "You ain't gonna make it down here if you want to find somebody shorter than you." And honestly, I had 109 kids in my graduating class. And when we walked into the class at graduation, we went by height. I don't know if you did that when you were there, but you walked in by height when you graduated. I had 5 guys and a girl that walked in behind me, and I was 6'4", 6'5". T-Town is known for its tall people.
So we'll kind of switch back to the college part, finish that up a little bit. So at college, talk about your career, including your teammates and your coaches.
I had still have a lot of good friends from college. I played. Well, Roy was a senior when I was there. Tim Littrell was there. Tim was a senior when I was a freshman. He coached me when I was a senior. He was the assistant coach. Rich Ramus was probably one of the best all-around athletes I ever played with. He's from Vandalia. He's now a orthopedic surgeon in St. Louis. When he was in high school, he was the #1 tennis player. He high jumped 6'10". He was a quarterback on the football team. He was a pitcher on the baseball team, and starting center on the basketball team.
Holy cow!
Rich was.
That's a heck of an achievement.
Yeah, he went to Milliken and he played basketball and he ran track, and he ended up high jumping 6'11" as a senior in track. But he was 6'4" and he weighed 195 pounds. He did not look like a high jumper, but he was just one of the best athletes that I ever played with. I had you probably heard when I was a senior, Wayne Dunning was a freshman, and he was one of the better athletes that I played with. I made all conference 3 years at Milliken, was MVP 2 years, and I pitched 2 years in baseball, my junior and senior year. I didn't play baseball as a freshman and sophomore. I'll tell you another funny story.
Go ahead.
When I started at Milliken, we had our first unofficial practice the Tuesday after Labor Day. We had 60 guys trying out for the team. We practiced 5 days a week. The first official practice couldn't be till the 15th of October. Ramsey had his team cut down to 25 by the 15th of October. From the 15th of October till the last day of basketball season, I got off Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day. We practiced 7 days a week, 3 hours a day. When school was closed, we practiced twice a day, 3 hours each time. So when basketball season got over my freshman year, I was done. I would have played baseball if it hadn't been for the fact that we practiced as much as what we did when I was in college.
Who was your coach?
Joe Ramsey.
Joe Ramsey. Okay.
So he was Division I coach, and he coached the Division III team.
Yes. Wow.
Like Division I.
So, talk about some of the teams and players that you played against in college.
We had a kid, we went down, Joe Ramsey played basketball, actually was MVP at SIU Carbondale. He got us a game my freshman year against Carbondale. They were ranked number 15 in the country, and they had a guy by the name of, I was trying to think of his name, I can't remember his name, but he played 6 years for the Atlanta Hawks. He was probably the best, one of the best players, guards that I played against. Big men, without a doubt, Jack Sikma.
I've heard of that name.
Jack Sikma played in the NBA for 16 years. He played Illinois Wesleyan. And he was a senior when I was a freshman, and he set Milliken's scoring record my senior year. He only got 46 or 48 points against us when I at Griswold Center. He was unstoppable that year. So those were probably not, and then North Park, Michael Harper, Bud Greer, and Keith French. They won when I was at Milliken, we got second or third every year I was there. My freshman year, Wesleyan won it. The next 3 years, North Park won it. And those three guys were all starters for all 3 years, and they won the national championship 3 years in a row.
Wow.
And all three of those guys played NBA ball.
Wow. So, name some of your favorite facilities in which you played in college.
We only played there one time, but SIU Carbondale was awesome. I mean, Augustana and Wesleyan were probably the two best that we played at all the time. And Eastern. We played Eastern 4 years in a row.
So, as far as, since you named the awards, is there any other memories you'd like to share during your college career?
For me, the biggest memories were we beat North Park twice when they were national champions. And I probably had my best career against Eastern because I wanted to go to Eastern Illinois University, and I went to the coach from Eastern showed up to a game, and I had 27 points and 23 rebounds, and the coach that Eastern told my high school coach, Kerry, that he didn't know that I could play for Eastern because I was too skinny.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I averaged over 20 points a game for a career against Eastern in 4 years. So that was my biggest memories from college.
So, as far as, are you in touch with any of your former teammates from college, high school, anything like that?
Yes.
Who would they be?
From college, I still play golf with Roy Mosser all the time. I play Jeff Sams, another guy I played with, Dave Kupish, Wayne Dunning. There's several other guys, Norm Dietz, Tim Kernder, guys that I played baseball and basketball with that I still stay in touch with in high school. Not as much. I moved up to Decatur. I've stayed here, and about the only guy that I see a little bit of is Towhead.
No, Ted Kreke. He's a good guy, isn't he?
Yep, my cousin, double first cousin. His mom and my mom were sisters, and his dad and my dad were brothers. So.
Wow, small world.
And we grew up quarter mile apart. So, and he's actually the guy that got me excited about playing sports.
So, at what age did you become interested in sports?
What got me interested in sports?
What age were you, and did you get interested in the sport?
6th grade.
Oh my.
Ted, Towhead, made the 7th grade basketball team. He was a year ahead of me, and that got me excited, so I started playing. And I played with my older brothers. I had 2 older brothers. They were 6 and 9 years older than me, and I would play basketball with them and their buddies, and they didn't want me to play, so they just beat on me and try and get me to quit, and I was too stupid to quit. So by the time I learned basketball playing with guys that were way older than me, so when I finally got to 7th grade, it made playing against 7th graders easy.
Since you played, how has the game changed?
The three-point line, I'm an old man now, the three-point line is the ruination of high school basketball. There's no longer big men. All the guys want to shoot. They all want to shoot from the three-point line. Nobody learned how to play inside anymore. And I know the game has changed, and I see where even the NBA and that kind of stuff, but that is the biggest thing that I think ruined the original basketball game.
So what advice would you give to today's youth about playing sports?
Do it because you love it. I hate to say it, but I'm 62 years old, and I didn't quit playing until I was 55. I played the last 10 years I played with my son, and that was something that kept me going for a long time.
So as far as who are your biggest role models?
Terry Probst was
Terry Probst.
was the guy that I looked up to, and Joe Shoemaker were the 2 guys that I looked up to, both from T-Town.
Got a few more questions for you, buddy. What has sports done to change your life?
It moved me out of Teutopolis into Decatur, Illinois, and put me right where I'm at and enjoying life the way it is.
I wanted to ask you a couple questions about Mitch Custer. Back in high school, what did you think about Mitch Custer as far as him breaking records left and right for points, all-time leading score at T-Town?
I can tell you what Lawrence Carey would say. Lawrence Carey would say if he didn't have the three-point line, he wouldn't have beat my record. Mitch is a great kid. His mother and I, his mom is the same age as I am. She's a cheerleader on our basketball team. Mm-hmm. She's a great lady. I got to give Mitch credit. You got to play 4 years. You got to score the points somehow, some way.
So talk about Britt Miller. I was just at his house. I had to ask you this question. So you remember elbowing Britt Miller in the face when he was in high school, and he couldn't beat you up because you were too geriatric. Talk about that.
Well, Britt's talking a little BS there. I wasn't that old at the time. I was probably 40 something at the time, but and I didn't elbow him. I just had my elbow sticking out like this, and he just ran into it. I can't say that I elbowed him. Now there is a friend of my son's that I did elbow and bloodied his lip, and he had to run out of the game, but not.
Britt wanted me to ask you that question. He wanted to.
I was going to say Britt could have taken me anytime he wanted. He was big enough that he didn't have to worry about anything. He was a good basketball player, but he was a lot better football player.
What would you say as far as T-Town basketball now compared to what it used to be? As far as the level of competition, how is it, the style and everything, how it's being played now? What's it like now?
Obviously, they got out of the conference. the National Trail Conference, which was probably the best thing they ever could have done, because the conference has went down dramatically. When I played, we had 3 or 4 good teams. You know, you talk to Brian Rothrock. Sturgeon Strasburg had a good team the whole time I was there. Effingham St. Anthony had a good team the whole time I was there. There was us. Altamont had a good team. Matter of fact, I got a funny story. When we were playing Altamont in the National Trail Tournament Championship game, and Greg Milster got a rebound, turned around, elbowed me. I got 15 stitches in my lip, knocked me into the stage. I was bleeding like crazy, and old Butch Werman was going to get me up, and he started to help me up, and my hand slipped, and I hit my head against the stage again. And Coach Carey comes running over, and I got blood running down on my uniform, and of course this was before they had the thing about bleeding. And he grabs me, pulls me up, says, "You're okay, you ain't coming out of the game." And so he calls timeout. Coach Kausner puts a butterfly on my lip, which lasted about 30 seconds. By the end of the game, he couldn't read the number on the front of my jersey. We had those sweatbands back then, they were gold. Well, I kept going like this to try to stop the blood, and one of my sweatbands was red, the other one was gold. And I scored the next 4 baskets after Milster hit me, and there's a book about Effingham County baskets, and he said that was the biggest, he put a little note in there and said that was the biggest mistake he ever made, was to hit me with an elbow and knock me out, try to knock me out of the game.
Oh my. Is there anything else you want to share?
Yes. There's 4 brothers that played at Teutopolis: Gene, Phil, Dave, and Joe Shoemaker. That's probably the best family of basketball players to ever come out of. I think all 4 of them. I know Dave and Joe played at Lakeland Junior College. Joe went on to Southwest Baptist. I don't know where Phil went. Gene went to Alabama. And when I was in high school, Coach Carey used to open the gym up during the week in the summer. And one day, all 4 of them showed up and we played. And afterwards, they put on a show. Gene and Phil played Dave and Joe 2-on-2, and it was the most amazing amount of basketball that I'd ever seen in my life. There was not one foul called. I don't care how hard they got hit. These guys just played on. And these are 4 farm boys. I think they had a dairy farm in Sigel, and I wish them all well. I hope that Dave Reed, they all see it. I think Dave's not in good health right now. I don't know about the rest of them, but I hope that they're all doing well now.
Mark, I really enjoyed hearing your talk. You had some really, really interesting and funny stories, especially with Lawrence Carey. That was pretty funny. We got some good old times with him. I'm looking forward to talking with him on Saturday morning.
Well, tell him hello.
I will. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
Thank you.